Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys, brought to you by the Hockey Podcast Network. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a sports betting perspective. With pro handicappers Alex B. Smith and veteran sports writer Jimmy Murphy. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Wednesday, January 19th, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith. Wednesday NHL slate to break down with three games, two of them on national TV. We got a TNT doubleheader, Leafs, Rangers, Avalanche, Ducks. So we will talk about those two games, and the other game being Arizona and New Jersey. We'll break it down for you in just a second. But first, we'll look back on last night, a busy Tuesday, as it always is, around the National Hockey League. We start in Boston, where the Willie O'Ree ceremony was phenomenal. It was extremely well done by the Boston Bruins. Unfortunate that due to COVID circumstances, Willie O'Ree couldn't be present at TD Garden, couldn't make the trip to Boston. Again, precautionary reasons. He's an older gentleman, and obviously, health comes first. But still, virtual ceremony that was done for him. His speech was very eloquent. Just a really, salt of the earth, humble, man is what Willie O'Ree was, and we certainly saw that. Great ceremony to honor him. Very well deserved as well. A groundbreaker, if you will, in the National Hockey League for sure in the late 50s and early 60s with the Bruins. So great ceremony for him starting the game, prior to the game. Then it was all downhill from there for the Boston Bruins after that. I mean, just a dreadful first period. They get behind 5-1. They do not recover, obviously. You're very rarely going to see Carolina cough up a lead like that, and they cruise to a 7-1 victory. Really, it was just horrendous puck management. It was defensive blunders and gaffes all over the place, and it was just rather stunning to see just how poor it was for the Bruins in that first period. And when you dig yourself a hole of 4 goals in terms of the deficit after the first period, you're not going to be able to come back against a team the caliber of the Carolina Hurricanes. So credit there to Carolina in that one with a 7-1 victory over the Boston Bruins. Tuukka Rask, not a great night for him, but he didn't get a lot of help either in that game. Ended up getting pulled early on. Buffalo Sabres, wow, a very stunning win just based on the circumstances. Back-to-back on the road, 3rd and 4 nights. Ottawa playing some good hockey, and they stunned the Sabres 3-1. Very solid performance in net from the kid, Michael Hauser, was very good for Buffalo in that game, leading them to a sizable underdog win against Ottawa. 4-3, Washington comes back to beat Winnipeg in overtime. Much needed win for Washington, who've been struggling of late. The Islanders add to the Flyers' woes, 4-3 with a shootout win. Vancouver Canucks, great end of the road trip. 2 straight wins against Washington and Nashville after a rough 3 games through that gauntlet that is Tampa Bay, Florida, Carolina. They lost all 3 of those games, the Canucks, but they rebounded to beat Washington and Nashville last night, 3-1. Calgary slowing down the wagon that is the Florida Panthers. The wagon came to a stop last night for the Panthers. Great performance. The bag skate from Daryl Sutter worked, and Calgary gets the 5-1 win against Florida after a dreadful performance against Ottawa at home. Calgary follows it up with probably their best game of the year, certainly their best game of the new year here in 2022, getting that 5-1 win against a red-hot Panthers team. Fun game with Tampa and LA, 6-4. The Lightning survive a very game effort from the Kings, although the Lightning are losing bodies on the back end a little bit as that game went on. LA feisty, but Tampa Bay just too much, as they often are. And they get the 6-4 win. And how about Montreal as a huge underdog against Dallas? Where was this against Arizona? I'll never know, but they showed it against Dallas last night, a 5-3 win for the Canadians. Hardworking effort from them. And by far, the best game of the year from Samuel Montembeault. Not even close. Very, very strong in net last night for the Canadians. His best game of the season. Now, the question with him is he hasn't had many great games. Is this just a blip on the radar, a one-off, or can he parlay this kind of performance last night into something consistent moving forward? But give Montreal credit. Definitely it's been a rough go. They finally get on the win column. And boy, all of a sudden I'm hearing firing rumors for Rick Bowness for Dallas. I'm hearing that they're kind of starting to circle a little bit, and the hot seat is cranking up on him a little bit because, look, they've been terrible on the road, but you at least thought coming back home where they've been lights out, they've been terrific against, a horrible Montreal team having a brutal season, they'd bounce back, and they didn't do that. So definitely the seat hot seat is getting hotter for Rick Bowness right now in Big D. Alex, we'll bring you in. What did you think of the games we saw on Tuesday night?
Yeah, well, we'll start off with the Bruins game last night. Of course, like I said, just an incredible ceremony that they had for Willie O'Ree. Like I said, very unfortunate he wasn't able to be there. And I wasn't on the show yesterday, but I kind of wanted to talk about how I really feel the networks dropped the ball not having that game on TV. I think that would have been a great moment, especially the day after Martin Luther King Day. There's so many people here
That
in
wasn't
the
even on
U.S.
NHL Network, Alex, that game?
No, they showed the ceremony on NHL.com, and that was free to view, but the rest of the game wasn't. And it's just really unfortunate. There's so many people here in the United States and around the world that don't know the story of Willie O'Ree, and they did a great job in telling you. I just wish it had reached out to more people. I've retweeted it and reposted on Facebook as often as I could last night. So, and then the rest of that game, incredibly unfortunate for the Bruins is they just didn't show up. And you can kind of tell if you were watching that ceremony, you could see the players getting a little antsy like they normally do for these ceremonies. We always talk about at the beginning of the year. You get out of your routine a little bit when you have that bit of a delay. And it was only a 20-minute ceremony, but still that was enough to where Carolina was ready to roll. Boston simply wasn't. And for me, I was happy getting my over 5.5 cashed in the first 20 minutes. So that was a nice one, but a bad performance for Boston. You wonder if they're going to be able to bounce back tomorrow in their next contest. That Tampa Bay LA game was really frustrating for me. I had the first period over, only get one goal in the first 20 minutes, and then 9 goals
And
after the rest of the way.
yeah.
So and so somebody just mentioned it in the chat too. We're definitely seeing that trend come back again, where if you're not cashing your first period over, sometimes you can get a half unit back by betting live that second period over, because teams are starting to opening up a bit more. They're trying to control the pace early, and then things open up late. And we see that wave happen throughout the year. We talk about how some teams want to start off fast, then slow down. Now's that time of year, especially as we're heading to get closer to the All-Star break, where those things kind of flip-flop a little bit. And then once the guys get rest again, planned rest. Of course, we've had teams be off with the COVID layovers, but that's when we tend to send the tide turn again, where there's more speed early and things taper off late.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Andrew, what did you think of last night? How did it go?
It was a pretty good night. I haven't been a dog player that much this year in the NHL, but I had the Hurricanes, I had the Canucks, and it was a couple bad days for me on the show as far as best bet goes here on the Ice Guys. So happy to get back in the win column with that Kings and Bolts over, Ian. And a win like that feels nice, and not just getting the 6 goals, getting 10 goals on an over 5.5. So you know what? I'll say this though, to get a little bit of a rant. How about the Ottawa Senators getting absolutely juiced up overnight, guys? Waking up in the morning, they end up closing around minus 210, 220. I bet them live when they went down 1-0. Batherson ties it up, makes it 1-1. And that game-winning goal, of course, as we all probably know, whatever side you were on, you were happy with the no call or you weren't. They've got like 8 guys lying on the ice, and all of a sudden someone finds the puck, puts it in, and they call it a good goal. No whistle blown on the ice. So very, very, very weird game there. But I guess it just goes to show Ottawa shouldn't be, they shouldn't be minus 200 against you, Alex, and I on the ice, let alone anybody else. So that was very interesting. Vancouver, look, they had a very, very tough schedule after the week off. Like Washington, some really tough teams, and now to go ahead and beat a good team like Nashville. It was kind of funny yesterday on the show. I would have been embarrassed if Vancouver didn't win that for me after I told you guys that I was wrong about Nashville, and then I go ahead and get a bet against them again. But I was happy to see them, and I think that Vancouver's defense is playing really, really well right now. And I just wanted to say, I agree with Alex. That should have had more publicity yesterday. There was actually something close to home, which I'm very disappointed in. And I'm not sure if you guys might have seen this on social media, but I take a lot of pride from where I'm from in the Maritimes. And there was a team from Nova Scotia, from Halifax, that went to Prince Edward Island to go play. Actually, the Halifax Hawks, a team that all my friends grew up playing on. And apparently there were fans in the stands and some players or something like that. And at the hotel, there were racial slurs or some type of thing that was said. And that organization will now, they said, we're not bringing any team from our club to you guys for the rest of the season. And it's just horrible to see. And I just want to say I was aware that stuff goes on. But when it's close to home, that's the kind of stuff that hurts the most because I'm not saying it's acceptable elsewhere by any means, and I don't want to get that twisted. But when it's something close to home like that, it's like, man, I love where I'm from. I take so much pride where I'm from, and I'm sorry for the rant, guys, but to see PK Subban post him on his Instagram page, not just his story, and see all these players, I just you tip my hat to this goaltender, for being as young as he was. The support that I saw something every single player for the next couple games he had back home in Halifax from the opposition skated down during warmups, gave him a little head tap and a tap on the pads, and it warms my heart. So, everybody belongs in this game, and just wanted to say that because it actually makes me kind of emotional thinking about that happening, and it's horrible. So the game is for everybody, and you look at the top 10 draft picks, guys, from next year. 7 out of those 10 top 10 prospects are Europeans. I mean, the whole thing where, oh yeah, this is a Canadian game or whatever. This game is meant for everybody, race, skin color, ethnicity, where you're from in the world. Hockey is growing, and I couldn't believe that to find out that 7 out of the 10 top prospects for next season, guys, are from Europe. Couldn't believe it.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I gotta ask, did you guys hear that story that I'm talking about in Halifax?
That's the first time I'm
heard
hearing about it. I hadn't, and maybe it's because it's Maritimes and it's junior hockey.
Because it made national news,
Yeah. But it's unfortunate. Obviously, it doesn't matter what level of hockey you hear a story like that. It's horrifying, and you don't want to see or hear anything like that take place. It's all about we want to be a welcoming sport. Hockey is for everybody, right? Ethnicity, gender, nationality, all of that, skin color doesn't matter. And if you can play and you're good and you want to play, you should be allowed to play. You should be given the freedom. No one should ever, make you feel like you don't belong there or don't deserve to be there. That's what it's all about. So, and I like that's basically been the term they've been going with lately has been hockey is for everyone. And it's true. And hopefully even the hard-headed, mean-spirited, just angry, bitter, sad people out there that take part in those racial slurs and
every sport is for everybody. Growing up, I played basketball. That was my sport, guys. I used to get chirped all the time for being the white guy. Look at this skinny white guy on the court with us. So it goes out every way. But I think that every single sport, everybody belongs in. And it's just hate to see that stuff happen.
Yeah, no question about that. Briefly before we get to Wednesday's card, obviously there was the big tete-a-tete with the Oilers, Leon Draisaitl and the reporter Jim Matheson yesterday. They're both at
We should
fault,
save it for Jimmy. I gotta go at it with Jimmy on this. I wish Jimmy was here.
So the first thing that Leon, first of all, when a reporter asks the question, it's not the reporter's right to get the answer he wants. All right, it's up to the player to answer the question. As long as he answers the question, that's what matters. And sometimes you're not going to get the answer you want. So Leon's saying, would you expand on it? What's our one issue? He said, no, it's just his decision. He didn't really want to single out, I think, one area of the team. But what Leon did after that, I don't know if that was necessary for him to do the everything line. And I think that's what kind of, set off Jim Matheson. But at the same time, Matheson's been doing this for 40 years. Now, he does deserve some kind of, veteran, I guess, Hockey Hall of Fame stature reporter. He's asking questions of Paul Coffey, Mark Messier, Wayne Gretzky, Yari Curry of the Oilers back in the 80s. That's how long he's been at it. But for him to actually come out back and say, why are you so pissy? That's bad. Okay, that's a terrible thing to come back with for him. All right, and he's got to be a little bit more mature and better than that. All right, at that point. So that's when things started to get contentious there. And then that follow-up question was a joke of a question. Let's be honest. You're showing how mad you are and frustrated you are on the ice with us. So what's he supposed to do, Jim? Smile when things are going poorly? What's he supposed to do? Smile and just, clap and be all full of glee now on the ice whenever the Oilers are losing a game? Is that what he's supposed to do? I mean, it was a ridiculous question. And I understand why Leon was upset with that and then said, yeah, I guess it's definitely the good thing to do, me being frustrated like that. But they're both at fault. I think Leon could have avoided saying, you know everything, because I think that's what got under Matheson. But Matheson should just, say, move on to the next question and ask his next question. The why are you so pissy? That's treating him like a little kid. All right. That's treating him like a little kid, like you want to spank him or something, or you want to punish him or something, like a parent trying to, reprimand their child. That's ridiculous. He's still a man. He's a professional hockey player. You got to treat him like an adult. And Jim Matheson didn't do that with that remark of, are you pissy? Why are you always so pissy? It's just not good for him. I think he was more at fault, but Leon kind of turned that whole back and forth into a bit of a confrontational one as well, with him at first saying, that you know everything, when he answered that question about what's the one area that the Oilers need to get at. But yeah, just hey, it is what it is. It's tense times. The Vultures are circling. Edmonton's playing horrendous hockey. And look, the heat gets turned up in times like this when a team is struggling. Yeah, Jimmy would be a great person to discuss this with, because he's the reporter. He's the one that's reporting on hockey. It's not the three of us.
Well, did you see his Twitter last night? He was defending him. And then I actually went, and the thing is, one thing I love about Jimmy, and he's not here to hear this, but I'll say this straight up. I think that Jimmy will, if he believes passionately about something, if you give him a respectful manner back, he'll listen. And like, I from my take is on both sides. I could see both ways, but anybody that tries to troll Jimmy back, he doesn't like let them punk him. And I love that. So whenever I disagree with something, I just try and like be as professional and as polite as I can, in response. And I gave something to Jimmy and he said, fair point, back to me on Twitter. And my point, I didn't mean to jump in, Alex. I want to get your thoughts, but my whole thing was, the second question is what pissed me off the most. Everyone's all under wrap about the first part. Let's forget about that first part for a second. Like Ian said, the second question is ludicrous. I mean, hey, I was talking with Morency last night, and he pretty much said he thought the second question was almost a gotcha to get you back. But hey, you were really showing your frustration to the other team. Is that something you want to do? What the fuck? What the hell is that? Like, he's like,
is he supposed to smile? You want him to be happy out there?
Draisaitl said, yeah, man, I do. Like, what? That's so. But when he said, I'm not being pissy, I'm fine. I'm just answering your question. And then Matheson said, yeah, you are. That to me was the fine. That's where the line drops. When he said, you're being pissy. No, I'm not. Yeah, you are.
They came back at him again. Yeah. What? No, that's Matheson looking for a soundbite. That's Matheson looking for Leon to say something and lose his shit in front of everybody. That's what he's fishing for at that point. And that's when all of a sudden, at the beginning, I didn't like what Leon did to get that rolling with the everything. But then Jim just piled on, and I think he made it much worse than anything Leon did after that. So probably more blame on Jim, to be honest. But yeah, both are at fault. And to be honest with you too, his initial question, which was, what's the one area you think this team needs to be better at? The reason why I think first of all, Leon's not totally incorrect saying everything. There are a lot of issues right now. Depth scoring is nowhere to be found. You can't find anybody on a third or fourth line with a telescope on the ice in terms of putting a puck in the net right now for them. Their defense has been hit or miss, and their goaltending, let's be honest. Smith's been back from injury. He sucked. Koskinen's made multiple errors and gaffes lately. That's why they don't have confidence in him. And Stuart Skinner, in his one chance to show maybe he could be the guy moving forward, he just absolutely shits the bed in the third period against Ottawa on Saturday night, and gives up a bunch of goals. So that's the thing. I mean, if you're going to say, you probably, Leon, if he thought about it, would probably say goaltending, and I'm sure most Edmonton players, but he's not going to say goaltending because you're centering out 2 or 3 guys on your team. And I don't think he wants to do that publicly. Because why? Because he's a leader and he's a good teammate and he's one of the leaders, and he's not really going to be looking to throw a specific member or two of the team under the bus, which is what he would have done if he had said, oh, the goaltending's the number one problem we have right now. Oh, it's our third or fourth line not doing shit offensively for us right now. Like, what do you want him to say? That's why he probably said everything is wrong right now. We got multiple areas.
Did you see what Mark Mathot said?
Any one person or one line or one defensive pair or 2 or 3 of his goalies under the bus, because it's just not the right thing to do if you're going to be a good teammate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And like you said, you nailed it on the head, Ian, that, both of them are at fault for the way that they handled the situation. The kind of the alternate look I had with it was that, if anything, he kind of teed up Leon to really, address something and make it public, not necessarily just throw a certain group or anybody, but throw everybody under the bus, himself included, and kind of wake them up. Like, he could have taken that time to be, obviously McDavid's the captain and the end all be all of this club, but Draisaitl's a leader there as well, and he could have taken a kind of leadership approach and undressed everyone in a way if he wanted to go that route. Now he chose not to, and then Matheson, like I said, just started piling on to him, and kind of seems like maybe there's some kind of personal issue between the both of them. We don't know. I haven't paid attention to other press conferences between the two of them before, but this might be stemming from just something else, not necessarily the frustrations of how the Oilers are playing right at this very moment. So there's a lot to address with it. I kind of stayed out of it for the most part when I was reading it on Twitter, because, like I said, once I heard the quote, I'm like, yeah, well, they both were kind of at fault. They both seemed
Exactly.
a bit upset, and it's understandable. It's an upsetting situation. You look at what everything that's going on in Edmonton. This is a pileup of over a decade now. This is not just one bad season. So things are getting to the boiling point. Now everybody's saying, oh, this is the reason why people don't want to come to Edmonton. Players don't want to sign here because of how the media treats them.
I have heard that, though.
Yeah,
I have heard that.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. I've heard that for a while. And so, it's one of those things. It reminds me almost of Chicago back in the day where, players didn't want to go there either because they didn't want to deal with the bullshit with ownership. They didn't want the media. At one point, they just stopped covering them altogether. But when they did, it was mostly critical coverage. So, that's something that Edmonton, maybe not just, it's going deeper than the organization at this point. Maybe the media as well has kind of looked themselves in the mirror and say, hey, if we're going to create the environment, a winning environment that we had 30, 40 years ago, we got to change everything from, what's going on the ice, off the ice, and what's being said over the airwaves.
How we frame certain questions, exactly. Yeah. Everyone talks Toronto media, Montreal media. Edmonton media, don't sleep on them in terms of how harsh and how brutal and how vicious they can be when things are going poorly. You've got these old timers like Terry Jones, like Jim Matheson. These are guys that ask tough questions. Mark Spector, you want no piece of him from Sportsnet when the Oilers are playing bad. That guy will be very, very hard on the players and the coach when things aren't going well. And he's covered the Oilers, I think, for over a decade or more now for Sportsnet. These are guys that will challenge players and coaches when things aren't going well with their questions and media availability. So I would put Edmonton, I'd honestly, right now, and especially after yesterday, what we saw, I'd put Edmonton guys right there, Toronto, Montreal, as tough as any media market in the National Hockey League. No question about that. They've got guys that'll just, the claws come out. Fangs come out when things aren't going well for the hockey team, and definitely saw that yesterday. Good stuff. Good discussion. Let's turn to Wednesday now. We got 3 games in the NHL. We'll start with the game that's not nationally televised tonight. Arizona taking on New Jersey. To get it started, we've got the New Jersey Devils here currently around a minus 185 home favorite, total 6. Pretty much across the board in this one. The Arizona Coyotes, look, we got to give Arizona some credit. I mean, obviously, we know it's been a rough season for the most part for the Arizona Coyotes. But right now, when you look at things, the way they've trended for this hockey team, they have been much more competitive lately. And in fact, you look at coming off the 5-2 win against Montreal. They did get shut out by Colorado, but they also, in the first meeting in Denver, took them to a shootout, beat Toronto, behind the great performance of Karel Vejmelka that night. So this has definitely been a more competitive squad lately, Arizona. We'll see if they can follow up that 5-2 win against Montreal, because here's the problem for Arizona. Following up a win with another has been a problem, and it's been that way pretty much all season here for the Arizona Coyotes. And that's going to be what you worry about here tonight. I mean, you look at the previous games this season, they only have, I believe, one multi-game win streak this year. That's it. One time have they been able to win 2 in a row. So it hasn't been pretty. And you look at the last few times they were off a win. They lose 5-3 to Edmonton. They lose 5-2 to Minnesota off a win. They lose 8-7 to San Jose off a win. They lose 4-3 to Colorado in that shootout off the win against Toronto. So, being able to follow up the win with another has been a problem this year and a concern for Arizona. You've got Vejmelka confirmed in net for them. For New Jersey, it looks like they should be a little bit healthier here tonight for this game. Sharon Govich is going to be back. They might be able to get a couple of their defensemen. Damon Severson might be back here tonight for the Devils as well. Jesper Bratt. potentially as well. These guys, we'll have to wait and see if they return, but they were trending toward being back tonight for the Devils. We'll see if that is indeed the case. The way I see it here is the one thing we have seen consistently from Arizona off a loss has been they've lost and they've given up goals. That has been a problem. So I don't want to have any part. It's kind of like Buffalo, Ottawa this game. I think New Jersey's in a good spot. They're off 2 losses. They're still better than Arizona, who have had trouble winning multiple games in a row and following up a good game with another. But I don't want to lay minus 185. I'm not going to lay minus 185, and I'm not going to take the regulation line either. I'm going to and hope for better results than what we saw with Ottawa yesterday with this bet. But I'm going to go with New Jersey here, team total over 3.5 in this one, which you can get around plus 100 in most spots. I think this New Jersey team capable of getting 4 goals or more on home ice, where they've been able to score a good amount lately. They've actually been good offensively at home lately. I think you'll see them get to 4 here. Don't have to worry then about winning the game. Just have to worry about New Jersey scoring 4 goals. I think they can do that tonight. So for me, I'll be on Devils team total here over 3.5. Alex, what do you think here? Arizona, New Jersey.
Yeah, I jumped right over this and got the first period over. I laid $1.25. I'm seeing $1.30. It's a couple shops that have it around $25, $1.28. But it's just like I said. I feel like it's going to be goals. That's what we tend to see. Like I said, the bounce of Arizona. When they, have these couple of games and they play well, then all of a sudden the floodgates open up. They start giving up a bunch of goals. This is a New Jersey team. They've been one of the best in the first period over. 8-2 in their last 10, 22 of the last 37. Also a team that starts off pretty fast. 9 of the last 10 games, there's been a goal in the first 10 minutes. So just rolling with those numbers alone, I think that's a decent price. I've been looking at a side out of the way, maybe the full game total as well. Like I said, I think they're starting to find a little bit of momentum where they can probably get some goals of their own, but you got to rely a lot on New Jersey. So it makes sense, Ian, with you taking that team total. New Jersey, I think, should win this game and get the bulk of the scoring, but I think we'll get enough to get 2 in the first period.
Arizona, by the way, off a victory this year, they have in a game off a victory, they have allowed their opponents an average of 4.6 goals per game in the next game. So that's what fits to me with this team total. If that average, that's the average. They've allowed 4.6 goals per game in games following a win this year, Arizona. If they hit their average tonight, if New Jersey hits that average, they get to 4 goals, obviously, tonight. And I think they've got a shot to do that. Andrew, what do you think here? Coyotes, Devils.
It's mostly a pass for me in this one. Just the guys coming back from quarantine or injury and Subban. We got guys like Hamilton out. And just to me, I think of a lot of teams in the league, I've noticed this Devils team is a whole different team when they've got even just 1 or 2 guys out. So, if I was playing this game, I actually would look towards plus 1.5 with the Yotes, but I'm not so sure they can keep up what they've been doing lately. So it's probably going to be a pass for me. But I don't think this is a blowout by any means for the Devils. Just my thoughts there. I hope you win your bet, Ian, because I'm probably not going to get involved. If I end up on the plus 1.5, I hope you win by 1.
Arizona has been competitive lately. We'll see if that continues tonight in this one against New Jersey. But Devils back home after a couple of losses in a row. I'd expect them to be better here tonight and bounce back with the win and probably get, like I say, I think they've got a chance to get to 4 goals tonight in this one. All right, the first of the 2 games on TNT. The doubleheader tonight on TNT, Toronto Maple Leafs, New York Rangers. Toronto minus 150, road favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. These 2 teams have had a slew of starts and stops throughout their season lately. Both of these teams have been off since Saturday, so there's really no situational or scheduling edge either way. I think this is a good thing for the Rangers because we always say it's difficult coming back home following that West Coast road trip, and for them, they were in Anaheim, LA, San Jose. They're actually in Vegas, Anaheim, LA, San Jose. And then they actually went for a road game in Philly as well on Saturday. And now they get 3 days to really, take a deep breath, recalibrate, being back home, being back in the Eastern time zone, all of that stuff. And I think it puts them in a better situation here tonight than most teams normally would be when they're coming off that kind of long extended break. Rangers here playing some good hockey overall. They are on a 6-2 run in their last 8 games. Toronto, of course, has been pretty solid as well. 6-5 win against St. Louis in their last game, albeit that was a very depleted, very shorthanded Toronto Maple Leafs team. And a Leafs team that on their blue line tonight, a couple of key defensemen not in the lineup tonight. Jake Muzzin, Justin Hall. So you're talking about 2 of your 6 starting defensemen not playing tonight for the Leafs in this game. New York Rangers have a couple guys out. Dryden Hunt has been missing the last few games, still questionable, and Alexis Lafreniere on COVID protocol for the Rangers. But aside from that, it looks like everybody should be accounted for and healthy for the Rangers going into this game. Jack Campbell confirmed in net for the Leafs. Probably will be Igor Shesterkin, you would think, for the New York Rangers, who, by the way, since he's been back, you haven't seen any rust whatsoever for this guy. He's been absolutely magnificent. I'm actually taking the Rangers here as a home dog. I think there's some value in this spot. I know Toronto has played decently on this road trip, but they've been kind of up and down the last few. They beat Edmonton. When you actually look at some of these wins, they beat Vegas when Vegas was shorthanded. They beat St. Louis when St. Louis was shorthanded. Remember, Shen, Parayko, Tarasenko, go on down. There were multiple key guys out for the Blues Saturday night when Toronto beat them. Same thing with when Toronto beat Vegas, a depleted team that night. And then the other wins were an Edmonton team that can't get out of their own way, Ottawa, Chicago, Columbus. You know what I mean? I mean, Toronto's been playing good hockey, but have they really played a Tampa or a Florida or a Carolina or a Rangers during this stretch? Not as many of those teams, especially a team at full strength. Not only a great team, but a full-strength team. So I think the Rangers have some value here as a home underdog in this one. I expect them to have a shot here tonight, and you're going to get me plus 130 with this team on their home ice, where they have a very good record as well this year at home, 10-5. And the last time they played Toronto, in Toronto, they lost 2-1, and it was a very even game. Could have went either way, coin flip. That's the way I see this. I see this as a very even game and a coin flip, but it's not necessarily being priced like a coin flip. You know what I mean? I mean, minus 150 here with Toronto on the road. So I'm going to grab the Rangers here, home dog at plus 130. Alex, what do you think here? Good one on TNT, Leafs, Rangers. Oh, he's muted.
There we go. You hear me?
We got you.
All right, yeah. So yeah, you mentioned that it's like this, last matchup between these two teams was basically a coin flip, and the way that I see this one going, it could easily be a coin flip as well. So I'm going to take the draw. I'm seeing plus 325, plus 330 with that. Like I said, the fact that the Rangers, they're coming back home, but they were at least on the East Coast in their last game. It's still questionable because you 3 days off. We talk about how that situation of just being on the road for a while, getting back and getting acclimated, over a couple of times, and then having to play a good team like Toronto. I'm not comfortable playing them straight up. Like I said, they could make it an even game. I don't know if they're gonna just come out guns blazing and put the screws to this Maple Leafs team that's been playing fairly well despite being shorthanded. He said we're able to gut out and get that win in their last game. So it just feels like this could be a back and forth battle, and teams just these two teams know how good they are, how talented they are. They're not going to be making a whole lot of mistakes. So I'm just going to stay with the draw here. I think this one will definitely go into OT, and we'll see what happens from there.
And I think it's important to note about and that's another thing that concerns me for the Leafs tonight, is that it's not only two defensemen out, Hall and Muzzin, they play together. They are a pair on that back end for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So you have a completely new pair of defensemen that are going to be playing with each other tonight for the Leafs. I believe Sandin and Liljegren, and then you're going to get Alex Biega, who is with the Canucks. He's been with a couple of other teams. He's basically a journeyman defenseman. He's been around with a bunch of different teams, and that's who you've got now in the third pair. So there's some defensive depth that worries me for Toronto tonight, and against a team that we know has got multiple lines that can come at you in terms of offense. So we'll see if the Leafs can cope. Again, shuffling on the defensive pairings tonight, maybe not necessarily a good thing considering the caliber of opponent you've got to play here in this game. Andrew, what do you think here, Toronto, New York?
Yeah, I mean, last two times these two teams played, we saw a 2-1 scoreline, which is kind of unusual to see. I mean, we've seen some close games with both these teams. You got the top two goaltenders in goal save above average with Campbell and Shesterkin. I can't believe I'm doing it here, guys. I'm on over 5.5. I'm on the over. We got the Californian road trip. We got them finishing it off in Philadelphia. First game back here, it was a little bit of an up and down road trip. We got Toronto getting games canceled. We got a game against the St. Louis Blues where it was first to 6 goals wins. I think we get a 5.5 here. Two good goaltenders. No Justin Hall. No Jake Muzzin. Give me the over 5.5 here, guys.
Yeah, over 5.5. It's again with these two teams, they're very capable. Often they've played tight games. The goaltending's been phenomenal in the two head-to-head meetings. Again, both of them 2-1, and it kind of indicates the fact that maybe this is going to be. That's why I kind of like what Alex is thinking with the draw. It probably will be a close game either way, and we just hope it's a different result. And like we say, maybe the game does open up again when you're talking about your second and your third pairing on defense for the Leafs being a completely new partnership here. That's when miscues and that's when breakdowns and that's when communication can become a problem and lead to some problems at the back end defensively. So maybe that helps open this game up maybe more than the last two head-to-head meetings were. I do know that the under's definitely taken a lot of money here because this was a flat 6 when it opened, and now we're seeing 5.5 and just even money with that. So it's been a lot of under money coming in this game. But you're right, you don't get a 5.5 always with Toronto. The ability to maybe take advantage of that could be worth it here in this game with the Leafs and Rangers. All right, we got the final game, Colorado and Anaheim. We've got Colorado minus 250, road favorites, 6.5 the total in this one. I did play it over here at 6. It's gone up to 6.5, so be careful now. I mean, I figured it would. That's why I bet it early this morning, over 6 minus 120, and it's definitely gone up a little bit here since then, but you know what we're doing with this Avalanche team. They have been, look at the last 10 games. There's not a single game that's gone below 6 goals. One game has. That was Arizona, Colorado, actually. 9 of the last 10 have finished with at least 6 goals. I think it's a situation where we probably get that here in this one with Anaheim and Colorado. Even with the head-to-head this year with these two teams, we had a 5-2 and a 4-2 game. Both of them Colorado wins. Really, it's just as straightforward as that. Going to ride the Colorado over train. It just continues to keep on going here, going into this matchup here with the Ducks and the Avalanche. Pavel Francouz, by the way, will be in net here for the Colorado Avalanche. Darcy Kemper, upper body injury, and he left the game against Minnesota earlier this week. A little bit of a questionable hit there for Jordan Greenway of the Minnesota Wild. He breezed right through the crease there and got his elbow up on Kemper. It wasn't vicious, but it was unnecessary. You can tell he's trying to hit him. Curtis McDermott, great job by him, jumping in there, fighting him, dropping the gloves. You don't touch my goalie. You don't do that and think you can get away with it. So that was good to see. I love that kind of thing. And I know Alex does, right? You jump in, you fight someone after they run your goalie. That was great to see that from McDermott of the Avalanche in that game against Minnesota. On Monday afternoon. That was a great hockey game, by the way. If you watch that game, terrific. Makes you want to see maybe a playoff series with those two in the spring, the Wild and the Avalanche. So I'm just going to keep it simple here. Colorado's scoring in bunches. I'm not necessarily sure Anaheim's the team that's going to slow them down by any stretch of the imagination. Worth noting, too, for Anaheim, Pittsburgh scored 4 goals against them. Minnesota scored 7 against them. The Rangers scored 4 against them. You get my point, right? The better offensive teams, the better teams they've played have been able to find the back of the net. I think they will here. Anaheim, though, being at home, I think they can contribute to the scoreboard a little bit as well. So over the total, I got 6, still recommended even up to 6.5 now. Alex, Colorado, Anaheim.
Yeah, I'm more than likely to jump in and grab 6. I'll grab it live in game. I'm seeing it at a couple of places laying $1.30, but with that being said, I could probably get maybe a plus price, or maybe even get lucky and lay $1.30, $1.35 with a 5.5 if there's no scoring right away. But like you said, the only thing you can look at here with this Colorado team, they're playing like they're supposed to be playing now. They won 8 of their last 9. And I guess you could say the same thing about Anaheim. They're kind of reverting back to the form that we expected at the beginning of the year. They've lost 8 of their last 10 games. They've been competitive. Like you said, they found ways to score, but they just can't find ways to get enough to get wins here. I don't think that's going to change tonight here with Colorado. So I'll jump in with the over, but I'll get it adjusted with a better price in game.
Yeah, no doubt. And they're riddled right now a little bit. Anaheim. Troy Terry's on IR. Adam Henrique's on IR, and multiple defensemen. Mahura, Josh Manson, Cam Fowler on the blue line out. Anthony Stolars is out as well for the in protocol, at least for the Anaheim Ducks. And thank goodness it looks like John Gibson, from COVID protocols off that list and was at practice yesterday for Anaheim. But, it hasn't been confirmed yet. So there is a chance it's Lucas Dostal, the young kid, tonight for the Ducks. It'll be Gibson or Dostal. We don't know who yet, but it'll be one of those 2 guys in net. And let's be honest, for Gibson, if it is him, I'm fine with the over. He's got, okay numbers, 2.64, 917 save percentage, but he's not been necessarily as good as he's been in years past here for Anaheim, and he hasn't started in a while as well. John Gibson. You go back and you look, the last time we've seen Gibson start in a game was January 4th against Philadelphia, over 2 weeks ago. It's been a little bit of a respite for him, and sometimes you don't see goalies sharp that first game when they've been off that long. Andrew, what do you think here? Colorado, Anaheim.
I'm not one to usually look at this stuff, guys, but if you take a look at the movement here, there's a lot of money that came in from sharp players on the Ducks. There's definitely been some movement here in this game. I wanted to mention as well something I've been saying with Vegas and Colorado, several teams actually, but those two teams in particular I followed, their team totals. I mean, you talk about over in general, but if I asked you guys, if you're taking the over in this game, what you expect the score to be, it's probably this team covering their team total as well, and that's the thing. If, anybody willing to lay the money line with Colorado tonight, I'll just shake my head, because if they win this game, they're going to win, scoring 4 goals. And Anaheim, to me, I think they're correlated with the under. So I think if you like them, I'd do a half bet money line, half under, because chances are Anaheim won't win if this game is 1-5. So if I'm playing this game, I'm looking at the fact that in the last 8 wins out of 10 for Colorado, they've hit their team total all 8 times. And that's where I'd look, is the team total in this game. But I'm telling you what, I think that if you like the over in this game, I say just take Colorado on the puck line, because right now Anaheim, I've been saying this all day on shows, and I just hate to sound like that kind of guy saying this stuff, but I'm pretty proud of me noticing that bet on Anaheim to miss the playoffs. It was plus 110 at one point. Then I got it at minus 140. Guys, that's upwards of minus 250 now for them to miss the playoffs. I mean, the world is crashing for this Ducks team. Everyone is seeing, the bookmakers are seeing what's going to happen to them coming up here. I think they're going to turn back into an under team, rely on Gibson, rely on Stolars. So I genuinely think if you like the over in this game, I think that people should just look towards Colorado itself or the team total. Why rely on the Ducks, And I could be completely wrong and the Ducks could show out, but I just think in this game in particular, I'm not really trying to, and I'm not trying to dismiss what you guys were saying or what you were saying there, Ian, with your over. I just think that if you like the over, you might as well just take team total on Colorado.
Yeah, Anaheim has scored a little bit more at home. On the road, they've been really, really sketchy scoring goals. I mean, definitely. But at home, they've been a little bit better. And they were talking about, fixing some things in terms of their breakouts and in terms of their, transitioning the puck and their power play. Following this loss, to Chicago. This is what they've been talking about. So I'd expect them to focus at that end of the ice after that shutout loss. They've been a little bit better offensively, and I'm just looking for a couple of goals from them, which I think they're capable of getting here tonight, especially against Francouz, who's still, not exactly been one of those guys that's been playing every other day this season. Could find the back of the net there. And Colorado's definitely, I wouldn't talk, now it's a lot of juice. It's minus 150 with that team total for Colorado, 3.5. But they've been 4 goals or more in all but one game, I believe, their last 10, Colorado. So
and how about the McKinnon shot prop? If you can get him over 3.5, I took him over 4.5 the other day, Ian. It's unbelievable right now. This guy 6, 7, 8, 9. He's just shooting.
Shoot or shoot, and that's what he's doing. Actually, it's 4 goals or more for Colorado in 10 straight games going into this one. So that is definitely, 3.5 the team total. It's over or pass for me. I like the full game over. I'll probably bet that one a little. But again, I don't love the price. That's the only issue. It's minus 150. That's pretty high, pretty rich, but warranted. And you still can cash it if they get to 4 goals with that Colorado team total over 3.5. All right, great stuff here from Alex and Andrew here on another edition of the Ice Guys. We'll get to best bets in just a second. Reminder, those of you watching on YouTube, hit the like button. We appreciate that. If you are watching the Ice Guys, it definitely helps us out. We'll get to best bets, of course, in just a second. But before we do that, I want to talk DraftKings Sportsbook. We're on to the divisional round now of the NFL playoffs, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is celebrating with a huge odds boost for new customers. Counting down to Super Bowl 56, new customers can get 56-1 odds on any team. Bet just $5 and get $280 in free bets if your team wins. If DraftKings Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, you can still get in on the action in the divisional round of the NFL playoffs and play for huge cash prizes with DraftKings daily fantasy football contests. DraftKings giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Get 56-1 odds on any NFL team. Bet just $5 and win $280 in free bets if your team wins. That's promo code THPN for 56-1 odds at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 years of age or older. Must reside in a DraftKings Sportsbook state. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Download the DraftKings app, sign up for an account, and use the promo code THPN. All right, best bets to wrap up the Wednesday show. 3 games to choose from. Light card as it usually is on Wednesday, but 2 national TV games on TNT with the Toronto New York Rangers game and Colorado Anaheim after that. Alex, we'll start with you. What do you like for best bet?
Yeah, we'll just go on with the first period over with Arizona and New Jersey. Like I say, you can find that 1.5 goals, laying $1.30. And so we see Arizona, as soon as they get a win, they tend to revert back in the worst way, giving up goals. And New Jersey getting guys back, they should be able to find some goals there as well. So we'll go over 1.5 in the first period with Arizona and New Jersey tonight.
There you go. Over 1.5. Coyotes Devils, first period for Alex B. Smith with his best bet. Andrew, best bet.
Yeah, we got 2 good goalies with Campbell and Shesterkin, but I think the spot lines up for an over here. 5.5, Rangers and Leafs. No Hall or Muzzin. I think we'll see some goals here.
All right, Leafs Rangers over 5.5. Andrew McInnis with his best bet. My best bet is going to be, I'm going to go dog here. New York Rangers plus 130 against the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think it's back home. They've had time, though. Alex mentioned they had the game in Philly, which was Saturday, and now 3 days off. I don't think that, jet lag and that, just traveling everywhere in the West Coast is going to be as big of a factor now with the days off following that game. Again, Toronto, your second pair on defense is out tonight for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think they could feel the effects of that here tonight against the Rangers. And I think New York finds a way to get the win. They lost the last game they played head-to-head against Toronto, and I think they get some payback tonight and a good price, too, and what I think should be lined closer to even money. New York Rangers plus 130, home underdogs against the Toronto Maple Leafs for my best bet on this Wednesday NHL card. And
so basically, we need a 4-3 Rangers overtime win, and all 3 of us will cash.
There you go. That's perfect. 4-3. That's exactly 4-3 Rangers in overtime, and Alex will have his draw. Andrew will have his over, and I'll have my Rangers win. Yeah. So let's hope for that tonight.
Awesome. That would be so cool.
And I'll always love it when it's a Wednesday night and it's a TNT night because that crew is terrific together.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to.
I always find it funny, Alex, if I'm last in the order of going. And on other shows, too, it's like you hear 2 other people give their thoughts, and it's like, damn, well, how can I say what I want for them to hopefully also win, too? You know what I mean? Like,
exactly, yeah.
There's nothing worse than doing a show, and then the person before you loves a side, and you're on the other end. And they just went on for like 5 minutes why they love their side, and then you're just like,
and you got to basically convince others why they're wrong.
Right.
and we're all friends here, but it's like we're not going to be on the same page every day,
Yeah, that's true.
I find we have differences, but we're also on the same page quite a bit, probably more often than not. But there's no doubt that once in a while there'll be a difference of opinion. But usually when we're on the same side, actually it does work out. It seems more often than not. I find I always used to say, "Uh-oh, look out." Everybody on the same side. That's not good. But I find this year it's actually been pretty good for the most part when we've all liked a certain side or total. So there we go. That's the Wednesday NHL show. We thank everybody for joining us. Hit the like button if you're watching on YouTube. And a reminder, as always, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week on YouTube, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Andrew McInnis and Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Wednesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow on Thursday. Big Thursday card coming up tomorrow. Make sure you join us for it. The Thursday edition of the Ice Guys right here, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network.